Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Talking Cubs. I'm your host Ryan Davis, and I'll be joined by my co-host Sean Sears in just a moment. We are continuing with more player previews heading into the 2019 season, and this, I believe, is the most important Cubs player for 2019. Sean, can you imagine how different the lineup will look if Kris Bryant is the guy from 2016 and 2017, not the guy who was dealing with the shoulder problems last year?
Yeah, it's a completely different team, 100%. When you talk about just on-base percentage alone, Kris Bryant's going to lead this team in on-base percentage, be one of those leaders with him, Rizzo, Zobrist, I'm assuming. But on top of that, you're probably guaranteeing yourself 25, 30 home runs if Kris Bryant's healthy, a huge run producer, huge runs creator. And on top of that, he's just clear-cut your best player. He's one of the best players in baseball. Just to get him being even just slightly more consistent compared and still putting up similar numbers as last year. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but even just getting a consistent Kris Bryant in that lineup probably makes a difference, a big enough difference for the Cubs to win this division at some point from last year. So adding Kris Bryant healthy and doing things like he did to start spring training, clearly hitting a home run, that's awesome. So he just makes everything so much better for this Cubs offense and so much easier.
Yeah. Just to put it into perspective on the difference between Kris Bryant being good last year and Kris Bryant after the shoulder injury, and this cutoff point is really sort of arbitrary. It's around the time that he hurt his shoulder, but there was a doubleheader in Cincinnati on May 19th. After the first game of the doubleheader, Bryant's numbers, his slash line in 180 plate appearances, 311 batting average, 428 on base, 595 slugging with 8 home runs. Those were monster numbers that he was putting up. Starting with that second game of the doubleheader through the end of the season, 277 plate appearances, 249 batting, 339 on base, 378 slugging with 5 home runs. Again, that sort of arbitrary. It's around the time that he hurt his shoulder, but obviously the shoulder it was a huge issue for him. Those are very pedestrian, around league average for like a second baseman style numbers. That's not the Kris Bryant that we know and love. The Kris Bryant we know was on pace to have an outstanding season. And if you look at 2016 and 2017, combined 144 OPS plus, a 293 average with a 397 on base, 546 slugging. So this is one of the best players in baseball when he's healthy. And I feel like because of that year, he's been overlooked quite a bit nationally. When I see these like lists of best players in baseball right now, I saw somebody at MLB did like their top 11 players and they included Baez, but Bryant wasn't anywhere on there. And it's just like Kris Bryant, I feel like he's going to have a monster season.
Yeah, I mean, and he's coming into spring training obviously talking more about wanting to prove some of those doubters wrong and really just come out of the gates looking like Kris Bryant. So far in spring training, he's batting like 667. Obviously, I think that's 6 plate appearances. Nothing to hold stock in, obviously, but he's looking like Kris Bryant. He's walking. He's being that patient guy, but he obviously people kind of think this, and I know you brought this point up originally on our podcast, Ryan. People think he lacks this killer instinct just because he's kind of like the sweet, innocent, never swears type of guy. But this guy is one of the best players in baseball. He is out hunting pitches, and right now he's got a chip on his shoulder. It's crazy to think that Kris Bryant, who was an MVP a couple years ago, Rookie of the Year his first year in the league, 2017 had somewhat of a dip of the year, but still was in some regards better than even his MVP season in some regards. I mean, this guy is perennial all-star MVP caliber guy whenever he's healthy. And that's exactly what the Cubs should be expecting this year.
Yeah, and speaking of healthy, that was the thing that everyone was worried about was, is this shoulder thing going to be a long-term problem, or was it just, last year he came into spring training, he said it is 100% healthy. Then we saw first plate appearance, 2-run homer, second plate appearance, single, and then the 3 plate appearances after that, walk. So Bryant obviously is doing his thing already. You don't want to read too much into spring training stats in general, but when we're talking about a player with a shoulder concern, a guy who had to basically change his swing at the end of last year just to be even go out there and bat, the fact that he's back doing his regular swing and kind of knocking the cover off the ball like he normally does and seeing the ball really well, that's a tremendous lift for the Cubs, who have had a lot of kind of questions about their offense heading into this season.
Yeah, definitely. And it's hard to believe, like you were pointing out here before you hurt his shoulder, him and Rizzo are kind of sort of hitting together for about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks into a year. And it felt like this Cubs offense was going to start to pick up. And in the first half, obviously, we saw this Cubs offense do relatively okay, but we kind of always heard the second half surge was coming, and they were going to make difference, basically have a completely different approach and just kind of crush the rest of this league going on. And it didn't happen. And without Kris Bryant, it's hard to get that second gear kicked in. But if he's a part of this offense with guys like Wilson Contreras, Anthony Rizzo, Ben Zobrist, name a guy, Kyle Schwarber, if any of these guys pick up and just add to the season they had last year with Kris Bryant involved, it's crazy to think that this team that won 95 games could be better. And all we heard this offseason was how their offense was broken and how this offense needed to get improved. And we all assumed Bryce Harper's or players of those natures were coming to this team. And really, I mean, the Cubs benefit the most from getting just a healthy Kris Bryant. It's probably a much larger impact to this team overall than would be to signing Bryce Harper, which I know seems arbitrary, but it's just crazy to think like people are projecting Kris Bryant to hit 20 home runs. Like what? Like what are you talking about? Insane to me. Also striking out 107 times. It's another projection I've seen. No, whatever. I mean, Kris Bryant is an absolute elite player, and adding him healthy with a chip on his shoulder should scare the crap out of the rest of this league.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm interested to hear what our fans of our show would think on that topic. Are you as excited and jacked up about Kris Bryant as we are? Do you think he's going to be really good, or are you more kind of wait and see on the shoulder? I guess there is the point of view to be taken that maybe his shoulder's feeling great now, but after a few months of swinging the bat, maybe the problem could come back again. I don't know. I guess it's just wait and see on that. But leave your comments below and be sure to click that little subscribe button if you like what we're doing. I know we've kind of done the big launch on the show on the YouTube channel, so we're starting to pick up subscribers and views, and people are paying attention. You can follow us on Twitter at Talking Cubs Show, and we are also individually on Twitter. I'm Ryan Q. Davis. He's Sean R. Sears. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again next time.